And there you go, last night we finally had the conclusion of the Penguin series, an episode titled A Great or a Little Thing, and boy, let me say what a punch to the gut this episode was. The episode starts with another flashback from Frances, Oswald's mother, and the time where she lost her two other sons because little Oz left them to die, and this was something that I complained last week about this origin story, that I didn't think it was that important, besides reinforcing some things that we already knew about the Penguin character, unless there was some piece of the puzzle missing. And this is exactly what we discover here, because Frances always knew that little Oz was responsible for the death of her two other boys. She just never told him that, and this created an anger in the woman so strong that by asking the help of Rex Calabrese, the old gangster from her neighborhood, he suggested that there were two ways to handle this situation. Or let Oz grow and become the man he wants to become, in this case achieve his potential and use this for her own benefit, or kill the boy. Simply like that. And believe it or not, Frances chooses to kill the boy, asking the help of Rex Calabrese. This is why she took him to the dance ball where we saw both of them in the ending of the last episode. So then we return to the scene in the ball where little Oz tells Frances that he will work hard to give her everything she needs, and of course make her proud of him. And it's during this conversation that she decides not to kill him and choose the other suggestion that Rex Calabrese gave her, to let Oz grow and become the potential monster that he's supposed to. And this is where we discover that this whole flashback is taking place inside the mind of Frances, because this is part of a hypnosis that Dr. Julian Rush and Sofia Gigante are doing with her. So in fact, Frances is telling them all this information, which will be very useful for Sofia to use against Oz. Then we cut to Victor, and the boy actually gathered all the mob bosses of Gotham City to join him and rescue the Penguin. But once all the gangsters arrive at the place where the bomb exploded in the last episode, realizing that the whole drug bliss is gone, they give up and abandon the boy, because they don't really care about Oz, just the drug. But there is a little Link that is left, and this is not a pun because the character Link, who works in the Triad, is still a little mixed about this decision of his own boss. Then we get to the dance ball where Frances was taken last episode, and Sofia finally manages to get Oz in front of his mother so that both confront each other with the truths of their relationship that they always lied about. First, she threatens to cut Frances' finger if Oz doesn't confess that he killed his brothers. And it's a very intense scene, but it's also a scene that shows how Oz is a great asshole that would let his mother's finger get cut just to protect his own facade, because he won't confess. So this is where we get a very crucial scene that Frances finally decides to confess how much she actually hates him. And she tells him his face how much she hates him for being this devil. She never loved his pathetic ass. Not only that, but she grabs a bottle, breaks it in the table, and stabs him in the stomach right there, trying to kill him. What a dark scene. After that, she sees her sons right there in front of her as an illusion, and walking towards them, she falls to the ground and has a stroke. Then the Penguin is able to use his own strength to get out of the chair he's tied up, and almost in a John Wick style is able to get his mother and escape from the place, leaving only Sofia and Julian Rush behind alive. So Oz rushes to a hospital with his mother so that the doctors take care of her because she's still alive. Then he clips his own belly to prevent the injury to bleed more, and this is where he meets Victor. And now comes a very interesting point of the construction of the Penguin in this episode, where we finally gonna understand what he is all about. Because even though his mother told him all those destructive things, that she hates him, he's the devil, she never loved him, he's still treating her the same, with the same illusion that he needs to make things right for her. And at this point of the episode, I was thinking, this guy, he's in such denial. He's so sick. But then, further on, we're gonna understand better how the psychology of this character really works. Meanwhile, Sophia gathers all the mob bosses that abandoned the Penguin and decides to put a bounty on Oswald's head, telling everyone that she will leave all that she has for one of them, the one who brings Oswald. Then we get to another crucial scene where the Penguin goes visit the councilman that appeared some episodes ago, the guy that had his nose almost ripped by a plier. And again, using his convincing skills, Oz tells all the story of what happened in the war between the Maronis and the Falcones until now, including the last episodes, but of course omitting his own participation in the whole thing. And he's doing this to give the councilman the opportunity to grow up inside the Senate by delivering all the big names in the criminal world involved in the war to the justice, of course in return of a favor. Give us the opportunity to be seen inside the political world as well, which is absolutely amazing because it's the first hint that this Penguin might be involved in politics as well, just like previous versions like the Burgess Meredith of the 1966 show, and of course, Danny DeVito in Batman Returns. And this can be amazing because I can definitely see the Penguin trying to become the mayor, maybe, someday. Speaking about mayor, we have the little cameo of Bella Real, the elected mayor from the Batman, which the councilman tells the Penguin that she is creating a special division to bring down the criminals of Gotham. And this is already a great hint that we will see the Penguin getting involved in this whole thing to climb up the ladder and become even more powerful. By the way, some people are saying that in this city hall environment that the Penguin has to talk with the councilman, there are some curtains or at least some decoration in the walls that might link to the Court of Owls. And this is a fantastic idea. Let's hope so. After that, Link, the guy from the Triad, gets Oz and takes him under the gun. And this is where we have another great scene with Sophia, where she burns her own house, leaving everything behind with the promise of starting a new life. She will travel this night, but then she receives the call that Oz was caught by the Triad. She goes after him in an airport hangar, and apparently things are going very well for her, but then this guy Link from the Triad decides to betray his own boss and kill him, giving back the control of the situation to Oz and Vic. And they surrender Sophia, which makes her think, shit, this is it. Oz decides to take her for a ride in a limo for her supposed final destination, and this links back to the whole past of them together as he was her driver. In the car they have this very important conversation where the Penguin explains that Link betrayed his own boss because just like us in the past, he was also diminished, just like many other characters inside these gangs that also feel diminished, and now it's time for them to take the control. At the end of the ride, Oz takes Sophia to a very desert area of Gotham with the intention of, killing her. Realizing that she has no way out, she just gives up. And they have this very interesting exchange where he tells her that she has no escape from this now. She will go straight to hell. And Sophia tells him, don't worry, I will save a seat for you. And let's keep this sentence in mind because I will explain something very soon. But the whole scene is constructed in a way that you think, okay, this is it for Sophia. She's dead. And I was very sad because I like Sophia. I didn't want her to die. But then she doesn't. In an amazing twist, Oswald leaves her for the cops that arrive in the scene and arrest her. And we all know that she preferred to die than to be arrested again and go to the place we all know she will go. After that, we have another crucial and very powerful scene. This episode is full of them, where Oz goes to the hospital to visit his mother, and he turns on the TV, celebrating the fact that everybody is down, Sophia was the last one. Now he is the boss of Gotham City. But then he realizes that Francis is not reacting to what he says. She is basically frozen on the bed, and it is revealed that her stroke was so severe that she became a vegetable, basically. So this is the most tragic thing that could happen to Oz, because he did all of that for her, as himself says, and she now doesn't have any conscience of what's happening. And this is perfect dramatic storytelling, people. He finally got it, everything that he wanted, but cannot have the approval and validation of his mother. That was his ultimate goal. So he cries like a baby. Victor tries to console him, and then we move outside in a little park where Vic and Oz are talking, and apparently this is a very kind and tender scene between them, where both confess their love to each other in a certain way, like family, right? Like brothers. And we all know what Oz does to his brothers when they're standing his way, right? And in the probable most shocking twist of the episode, the Penguin decides to kill Vic right there by strangling him, with the excuse that for the next phase of his life, he cannot have any attachment to anyone else in his life ever again. Meaning, he is finally becoming the monster that he's supposed to be, that his mother raised him to be. What a tragic ending for Victor Aguilar. This poor boy had no chance since the beginning of the show. We all knew that this was going to happen in the end. And another piece in the chain that consolidates the Penguin for who he really is, and I'm gonna talk more about this, hold on. We then have the final scene of Sophia back in Arkham, poor girl. And she's basically dead there, not responding to anything. And Dr. Julian Rush is also back in Arkham, taking care of her. And this is very strange because I didn't understand very well how he's back in Arkham, but okay. But I want to go back to the line that Penguin and her exchanged before her being arrested. Oz told her that she was going to hell, and if we go back to the Batman, the Riddler said the same thing for Batman, that he was going to meet him in hell, hell in that case being Arkham Asylum. So when Sophia told Oz that she was going to save a seat for him, I can clearly see a foreshadow of what's gonna happen with Oz in the future movies. A foreshadow that maybe he will also end up in hell, meaning Arkham Asylum, maybe together with Sofia Gigante in there. It's an interesting theory, we can only wait and see. But then we have the great Easter egg of this episode where Sophia receives some letters handed by Dr. Julian Rush, and some of them are marriage proposals, so probably there's some lost letter of mine in there. Jokes aside, she also receives a letter of a woman alleging to be her half-sister. And if you have been paying attention to this universe, we all know that this is Selina Kyle, the Catwoman, which is absolutely amazing. Again, I think it would be more fun if the Anne Hathaway version of the Catwoman was her half-sister, because they kind of look alike. But the idea here is that Sophia starts to read the letter and she gets a little smile on her face, becoming alive again. And it's great because is this a foreshadow that we're gonna see a team-up between Sophia and Catwoman in the future? Probably, right? I'm really curious to see where this is gonna go, but we have to wait and see. And then we have the actual triumphant ending of the show, where we see the Penguin in his very comic-accurate attire, wearing his suit, his hat. He has an umbrella hidden in there. It's also a snowing Gotham, just like Batman Returns, which I really loved. And we get to see what happens with his mother. And surprisingly enough, he has her in the top of the building that he is living. So this son of a you-know-what is maintaining her with him in her vegetable state, because in his sick, twisted mind, she is still witnessing his rise to the power. It's a very sad ending for Francis, because she asked him some episodes ago to kill her in case she got to this state. And this prick not only refused to do that, but is holding her in there, kinda leaving an illusion that she is validating everything that he has achieved. To put the cherry on the top, Eve Carlo, his girlfriend from the show, appears in the last minutes of the episode dressed as his mother, and they both dance just like that day in the ball when he was a kid, and in the dance he asks her to tell him everything that he's achieved and that she's proud of him. It's a very twisted and sick scene, so he's using her to portray his mother, validating his actions. Wow, this is bizarre, and explains everything that we should know about Penguin as a character. He never really loved his mother as well. That's what I was going to explain before. The only person that he really cares is himself. He doesn't really even care for his mother like he says. He doesn't care for anyone. It's not that he was in denial when she told him that she didn't love him, that she hated him. He just didn't care. He only cares about his self-validation, and the main source for that was his mother. And kids, this is a real villain. Then we have this fantastic line that Eve tells him, "Nothing can stop you now." But then we go outside and see the bat signal appearing on the sky, which tells us, well, not so much. Amazing. Amazing. What an incredible TV series. What a great addition to the lore of Batman. This show will be unforgettable in terms of how well crafted it developed its characters, especially the Penguin, not afraid of making him what he is, a villain, a full-blown evil villain. This is a guy that no matter what happens, we will hate. No matter even what the audience thinks about it, instead of some other coward's depictions of Batman characters around, if you know what I mean. So this show perfectly sets the terrain for the next Batman and the excitement for this full-formed villain to clash with our hero. Of course, if there is a very good explanation why we haven't seen him so far in this show, of course. I mean, after this great ending, I can kind of forgive the non-Batman appearance in here, but I still hope that there will be some explanation for why he never intervened. But anyway, this show is 10 out of 10. There's nothing else to be said about, and the most important, it brought me totally in to be excited again about this Batman universe, something that the movie itself didn't do in the past. Now I cannot wait to see where the story is gonna go. And if you wanna know as well, you know what to do. First, leave your like in this video if you enjoyed my recaps of all the episodes from the Penguin. You can watch the other videos here in the playlist. And of course, subscribe to the channel so we can keep talking about the Batman and all the other versions of the character, plus the whole DC universe in this channel, alright? Thank you so much, see you in the next Bat video, and bye-bye.